AMA land, another Wednesday word coming right at you. Before we get to that, though, I've had some comments from my last video about my supposed desk being a little too messy. Get a look at this. Folks, this is not my desk. This is junk. This is where I throw things when I'm done with them or may need them later on. This is not my desk. I don't do work on this desk. So this desk is fine. This thing right here is fine. This is my desk. It is beautiful. It is arranged. It is organized. And this is my desk. So this, in summary, not my desk. This, my desk. Okay. Time to move on and talk about what we really want to get to today. And that is today's word, pitching. Pitching is everything in baseball. If you don't have it, you can't win. You can hit your way all day long, but if you don't have any pitching, you're not going to win any games. So far this year, Shenandoah has great pitching. The baseball team going into Monday night's contest against Glenwood, one earned run, 3 runs total, 1 earned run, had a .83 ERA. That rated 5th in the entire state of Iowa, all classes. Shenandoah has some great pitching. Zac McCoy, Tylerlorimer, Evan Lindburg, the top 3 pitchers on that team have been great. I talked with him this past Friday. I also talked with their new pitching coach, Matt Potratz. How much does he have influence on this great turnaround of pitching? And also with their head coach, Brett Roberts, who also talked with me about this brand new pitching coach, this great pitching staff. Again, the word, pitching. All right, here talking with the top 3 pitchers from Shenandoah, Zac McCoy, Tylerlorimer, and Evan Lindburg. You're going to talk with these guys individually here, first of all. It's been a great year to this point. 42 innings pitched. I'm going to read these off. There's a lot of numbers here. 19 hits allowed in those 42 innings, 12 runs allowed, 5 of those are earned, so a team ERA of .83, 52 strikeouts, 20 walks, 3 hit batters, 112 opponent batting average. They've struck out 8.7 guys per 7 innings, walked 3.3 per 7. We'll start out with Zach, the senior of the group, the senior leader and the ace of this cruise. Come on up here, Zach, real quick. 3 starts, 2-1 record, 16 innings, 8 hits, 8 runs, 3 earned, 1.31 ERA, 17 Ks, 11 walks, 116 batting average. Did you know all those numbers? Did you know all those by heart there?
Nope.
Talk a little bit about what you've been doing. What's been the difference for you? Talk about your starts. I know you started the year with a no-hitter. I guess that's a pretty good way to start the season.
Yeah, I was just hitting my spots and letting the defense take care of the work.
You had a new pitching coach this year. Matt Potratz comes in, and has there been a new philosophy as far as pitching? I know you had a great year last year and previous years, but is there a new philosophy with him, or has it just kind of been having the experience?
I think it's mostly the experience, and he's helping a lot with mechanics and making sure we got everything ready. Arms are fine, really working those out.
You talk a little bit about your arsenal a little bit, what kind of pitches you have. I've heard you're pretty much a junk ball pitcher.
Yeah, I have fastball, changeup, curve, slider, and I'm starting a cutter.
How many, would you say, percentage-wise in a game do you throw off speed?
Maybe about 40%.
I heard a rumor that one time when you were a sophomore, you pitched against Glenwood, you threw about 12 fastballs and 90 pitches or so?
Yeah, a lot of curves.
Was there a reason for that, or was it just your stupid catcher, Ryan Matheny?
I think there might have been a reason to fool him a little bit, but yeah, Ryan was in charge of it.
It's not usually that bad. I mean, you don't usually throw that many off-speed pitches, but talk about how you kind of work a batter. You generally like to start off speed, pitch backwards, or what's your kind of strategy there?
In the early innings, it's usually just first fastball, and then we'll work in a changeup and changeup and curveball start off in later innings, and then I'll come back with a fastball, and then whatever the count is, that's what we'll work from there.
Early season, first game of the year, I mentioned the no-hitter. Talk about that. Getting a no-hitter is always fun, but how was that for you?
It was good. It wasn't my best performance by any means, but it was great, and defense really came through.
I think they scored They scored a couple runs as well in the no-hitter. You don't usually see that.
They scored 1.
Scored 1 run. You don't usually see that, but I guess looking forward to your senior year, talk a little bit about the goals for what you might be expecting to do this year individually and team-wise.
Individually, I'm hoping to make all-conference again, and it's state. We want to make it to state.
Zac McCoy. Let's go to Tylerlorimer. Now, we talked about Zac throwing the no-hitter in the first game of the year, and then you followed up with a no-hitter yourself. So you don't see that very often, obviously. Talk about your no-hitter and how that one went down.
I just focused on hitting my spots and let the catcher do his job and just kept in my spots, making mark and letting them swing, try to let defense do work.
Now, I don't know if you guys can see this. He also has he's a catcher himself. So does that kind of give you a different perspective out there on the mound, maybe knowing what you want to do?
Yeah, it gives me an idea of from both angles of the ball where the umpires like to call strikes, balls, his zones.
Tyler, this year you've got a couple of starts. Again, this is recorded on Friday, and you're going to be playing on Wednesday. So 2 starts, 2-0, 12 innings, just only 2 hits. So you had the no-hitter, and then you had the 2-hitter against Atlantic. Have not allowed a run, 15 Ks against 3 walks, and folks are hitting .048 against you. I don't know, that doesn't sound very good, .048. But I guess what's been the difference for you so far?
Just the new pitching coach helping out and letting me hit all my spots, and just been focusing on hitting spots and doing good with it.
Now, Zach said basically the pitching coach has nothing to do with it, is what he basically said, but you're saying he has a lot to do with it.
I'm saying he has some help in it, but I mean, it's just all us learning quick with it and hitting our spots and hitting the zones right.
Mm-hmm. Is there something special maybe he has brought philosophy-wise? By the way, I was just kidding. Zach didn't really say that, but philosophy-wise, is there something special that he's kind of, maybe something new that you've learned this year with him?
Not really. It's just same old stuff, but just really focusing, bearing down on it, just fundamentals.
Now, not only the pitching-wise, obviously you've been getting the wins as well. Good pitching leads to wins, so you're 6-1 at this point in the season. Probably one of the better starts Shenandoah has had in quite a little while, I guess. So talk about that a little bit. How's that feel?
It feels good to get the 6-1, and wish it was 7-0, but things don't always happen to fall in place like everyone else thinks they could.
Having a win going to Atlantic, winning 2-0, I probably haven't beat Atlantic at Atlantic in quite a little while, I guess. What was that for you, being able to get on the mound and get the win and just give up 2 hits in that game?
There for a while, it got down to the wire with bases loaded, but I mean, just work on focusing on where to hit and what to do and let defense take care of it.
Now, we talked about Zach's arsenal. He's kind of a junk baller. What would you say you are?
Mainly fastballs. I can hit the outside and inside corners real well, and every now and then come in with a curveball, change it up.
So you're more of a pitch to the edges of the plate kind of guy. So if umpire has a tight strike zone, that'd be a tough night for you?
A little bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tyler, so far the strike zone appears to be pretty good. I mentioned just 15 Ks and just 3 walks. Pretty good. Let's go to Evan, the number 3 man, so far this year, 2 starts, 2-0, 10 innings, 4 hits allowed, 1 earned run, .70 ERA, 14 K, 6 walks. Opponents hitting .098 against you. Now, you're the lefty of the group, the Tom Glavine, I guess, of the group. We got Greg Maddox and John Smoltz over here. But can you talk about your season to this point? Obviously, it's been a good one.
I just try and go up, throw some strikes, see if I can get them to either hit, ground out, pop up, or just strike them out.
What's it like, not necessarily you're not always following these guys, and it's different teams that you're playing, but they get a different angle, righty, lefty. Does that help you? Is that an advantage for you?
I think it would throw them off, because if you have a righty, they're going to be throwing inside. Lefty, we're throwing outside.
Talk about your arsenal a little bit. What kind of repertoire do you have?
I'm pretty much all fastballs. That's literally it.
Really? So are you just working inside, outside, or is more location than anything?
I just kind of put them wherever I'm told to.
All right. Who usually catches you? Does Tyler usually catch you?
Usually Sean Skillern.
Okay, Sean catches you. So I guess the rapport between a pitcher and a catcher always has to be good. Is Sean this catcher for all you guys then? Okay, so I guess I wish he was here too to kind of talk to him. But what's that like with him? What kind of catcher is he? Is he generally the guy calling the pitches, or who calls the pitches?
Coach Potratz calls the pitches, but Sean relays them in, and he's a good leader out in the field.
Zach, Tyler, we were asking them about Coach Potratz and what he's kind of done for you this year, done for you guys. Anything you can put your finger on?
He's really helped me with my location. I mean, I knew the pitches generally, but my location was always kind of off, but he's helped me get to that point.
Your last outing on Thursday night against Clarinda, you gave up just 1 hit, 1 run against a rival, and obviously getting a big win against them is always fun. Tell us about being able to pitch against Clarinda, getting the ball in that, and getting the victory.
First inning, I came out a little weak, got a little nerve-wracking, but as I started, I got on a roll, and I did pretty good, I'd say.
Now, it's going to be again, this is on Friday. Saturday, you've got Trainer. Monday, Glenwood. Tuesday, 2 with Denison. And then couple more games the rest of the week. I think, what was it, Wednesday with Creston, Thursday East Mills, Friday you got 2 against Montezuma. That's a lot of baseball in a short amount of time, and you're not going to be here for any of it. So I guess feel confident that the rest of the pitching staff can hold it down.
We got a strong pitching staff this year. I believe that we'll stay strong throughout the whole week.
Obviously, it's just always important to have great pitching, and this point in the season to be 6-1 behind this great pitching. One of the top ERAs probably in the state. Haven't even looked, but I'm sure it's one of the best. But 6-1 is probably the favorite number that you have.
Definitely. I mean, I wish it was 7-0, but sometimes the dice don't roll the way you want them.
What kind of goals do you have this year as far as individual and team? Where do you see yourself fitting in during I guess a course of a week, coming in as the third guy usually? What are your goals?
I usually try and get a couple strikeouts. I let my defense do the rest of the work. Individually, I hope to get over 18 strikeouts, what I had last year. And as a team, I believe we can go to state. So, I mean, I'd like to get to playoffs, get through state.
Excuse me, when I looked at that, 7 unearned runs. That's not a very high amount either. So I mean, the defense been pretty good.
They've been solid. A lot of that's just kind of me. I'm walking, throwing balls, just bad stuff.
All right. Very good. This is the group right here that has posted a .83 ERA. We're going to come back and talk with the mastermind behind it all here in a little bit. Talking with Matt Potratz now, pitching coach for Shenandoah. I'm going to read you these numbers here so far this year. 42 innings pitched, just 19 hits allowed, 12 runs allowed, 5 of those earned, .83 ERA, 52 strikeouts, so 8.7 Ks per 7, 20 walks, 3.3 per 7, 3 hit batters, and then a 112 opponent batting average. All adds up to a 1.00 whip, which stands for walks. You know what that stands for, walks and hits per inning pitched. All right. So, Matt, I guess when you hear those numbers, I guess pride's got to be swelling.
Oh, yeah. It feels good. You guys have been playing pretty hard.
I know Zac and Tyler and Evan are the top 3 guys that have been getting most of the innings. Can you talk a little bit about those 3 guys and maybe what the reason is for their success so far?
I guess all of them work pretty hard, but at the same time, they're kind of goofballs, so they enjoy themselves out there. Most of them don't get too stressed, and I think that's one of the big parts out there on the mound is don't overthink it.
Right. Talking with those guys, they didn't really say there was much of a philosophy, and just talking with you, you said it's not much of a philosophy at all, or really either.
No, I mean, we work on drills, we get them prepared for the game, but once the game starts, we call pitches, we let them know where they should throw it, talk to them in between innings.
Tell us about your background a little bit. What's your background is coming into this? This is your first year at Shenandoah, obviously. So, what's your background?
I have no background in coaching, but prior to that, I played baseball at Fort Dodge. Played since I was a sophomore. Then I played at Iowa Central for a year, and that's about it for baseball.
Okay. Fort Dodge Dodgers, Fort Dodge Senior High. All right. So, and you played at Iowa Central. Were you a pitcher?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so I guess kind of the mentality you had out on the mound, was that kind of the mentality you try to instill in these guys?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's times where I get nervous out there, but for the most part, it's about the same.
So we mentioned this is your first year at Shenandoah as the pitching coach, and first 2 games of the year they throw no hitters. So I guess how much do you take from that?
I don't take much from that at all. I mean, it's the first 2 games. Batters usually aren't as good. It takes a while for the batters to get ready for the season. Pitchers, they're usually pretty ready.
We talk about these guys individually a little specifically. Zac, kind of the elder statesman, I guess. Yeah. Senior, he's pitched a lot. Was an all-conference performer last year. He usually faces the toughest teams because he's the ace. So I guess what is it about him?
Oh, he throws hard. He has a pretty good breaking ball, and he places it pretty well.
I know when cameraman Ryan was the catcher for Zac McCoy here at Shenandoah, one time he had him throw, I think there's something like 90 pitches and 12 of them were fastballs. So he must have had some pretty good junk.
Yeah, I mean, he throws a pretty good curveball. He throws a slider once in a while. But right now we've been sticking more with fastballs until kids can keep up. Because most of them players are kind of behind on the pitches, so it helps us out.
Ryan Matheny didn't know what he was talking about or doing. Tyler has not given up a run this year. He had the second no-hitter and then the 2-hitter against Atlantic at Atlantic. I'm not sure has been done in a while at Shenandoah, winning at Atlantic. I guess talk about Tyler, what he does.
I mean, this last game he did a lot better than his first game, believe it or not. I mean, I know the first one was a no-hitter, but he did pretty well in the second game, hit his spots. His curveball was working really well, and just with those 2 pitches, there's not a whole lot they can do.
You've got the southpaw, Evan Lindburg. He's got a .70 ERA, a couple of wins and a couple of starts, 14 Ks and 6 walks. What's the difference with him? What's he been doing well?
He's just throwing hard. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, keeping them outside, trying not to throw it right down the middle on the kids, and helps a lot for a lefty just keeping it outside all day.
He said he only throws fastballs. You're trying to get him to get some sort of off-speed pitch?
We're working on it. We've had him throw quite a few. They didn't really break very much. Nowhere near the strike zone, so we're trying to work on that on practice as opposed to giving these other teams meatballs.
So a work in progress always throughout the season. Still very early. I guess we talked about a lot of positives, and maybe something we need to work on with Evan is the off-speed pitch. Any other areas that you say is a pitching staff as a whole that needs a little work right now?
I mean, like I said, they've done pretty well keeping it close, but they still have a lot to grow with accuracy alone. I mean, like Greg Maddox was an overpowering guy, didn't have the biggest curveball. He just knew where to place it, and I think that's the biggest thing is the kids need to just throw.
We're doing this interview on Friday. This will be running on Wednesday, so you've already played Saturday, possibly with the possible rain coming, and then Monday, and then 2 games on Tuesday. So I guess lots of games coming up here in this next week. I think like 8 in a short amount of time. We're not going to have Evan. So I guess what's the plan here? Is it going to be pitcher by committee? You're going to have a Ryan Matheny out on the mound?
No, we actually have quite a few kids that can throw well. We just haven't had to use them, with the ERA as low as it's been, and we haven't had a lot of walks, so we haven't had to utilize some of the kids. Jose, Jackson, we have Jacob. There's quite a few kids that actually throw really well. We just haven't had to utilize them.
Okay. You're going to have to utilize them over this next several days. But looking ahead for you, what's the kind of the broad goal that you might have for this staff?
Obviously, it'd be nice to make state. That's always the goal. Make it there and see what we can do.
All right, well, so far so good. New pitching coach has a .83 ERA. He won't take all the credit, but we'll give him some. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right, now Coach Brett Roberts. Coach, I'm going to read off these pitching numbers as I have to everybody else to this point this season. 42 innings, 19 hits, 12 runs, 5 of those earned .83 ERA, 52 Ks, 20 walks, 3 hit batters, 112 opponent batting average. So I guess it's been a pretty good start for Mr. Potratz.
Yeah, he's been a huge addition for us. It's one less thing that I have to worry about in the dugout. Normally I would call pitches and have to worry about the defense and worry about the offense, what we're going to do the next inning and stuff like that. And it's huge weight off of my shoulders where I have him in there calling the pitches, and he can go over the scouting reports in between innings with the pitchers, what we're going to see next, and he can go over that stuff. When I can't do that when I'm out on third base. And his knowledge of pitching and of the game and what it takes to be a successful pitcher is huge because he's pitched at that level, and it's definitely been a huge addition to the coaching staff.
Yeah, I guess tell us about how this all came about and how he kind of got on staff.
Actually, I played softball with him last year. He moved into town. He's a chiropractor, and he said he's interested in getting involved in baseball. And I talked to him a little bit, knew that he pitched at Iowa Central, knew he pitched at Fort Dodge, and that he knew a lot about baseball and he wanted to get involved. So we just had to make sure he had his coaching endorsement. So we signed him up, and he's a volunteer coach. So he's doing a great job, and it takes a lot, to volunteer your time and as much time as we have to put in to making the team successful. And he's making that sacrifice, and his family's making that sacrifice for us, and it's paying off dividends.
You kind of knew what you had coming in. Zach coming back as an all-conference type guy, and you knew what you had with him and Evan, and a pretty deep pitching staff, really. Just you haven't had to use them all at this point, I guess. So how much credit goes to him anyway?
A lot of credit goes to him because, we start throwing in February like everybody else does, and he got in there with those guys. And, a lot of credit goes to those kids, too. The tools were always there for Tyler and for Evan, and Zach was already a pretty, he's an all-conference pitcher already. But we just had to refine them. And, and sometimes it takes another set of eyes, and it takes a few, other things just to wrinkle out all those edges. And those guys were on the cusp. They just had a few things they had to fix, and Coach Potratz has done a lot in helping them fix them and take that next step.
I read off those numbers for you, but the favorite number of yours is probably right now. As I said, we're recording this on Friday, 6-1.
Yeah, 6-1 is good. We got a lot of work to do. that one loss, the pitching staff has been great, but a lot of that's been the defense behind them too. As a pitcher, when you trust your defense and you know they're going to make the plays that they need to make, you're more willing to put a ball, over the plate, not walk people, make them earn everything. And with the exception of the Harlan game, we've played really clean baseball. And if we continue to do that, continue to throw strikes, we will be in every game and we'll have a chance to win every game.
Now, this is a school that does have a pretty good history in baseball. Went to state in 2006, I believe, and also went in the 2000 and 2006. So and 01. Okay, so 3 times since 2000. So I guess 6-1. Where does this kind of? I mean, I don't know how much history you've gone back and looked at, but 6-1 probably one of the better starts in a while.
It's the best start since I've been here. So it's probably, I don't know how they started in 06. They had a really good team. They had a really good pitching staff. But we've got a lot of work ahead of us too. 6-1 is great, and you can only win the game that's directly ahead of you. But this next week for us is going to be a huge challenge. Trainer Saturday is going to be a huge challenge. 7 games and 5 games in 5 days next week. That's going to test our pitching staff and just what we have, and it's going to test the younger kids. So we have a lot of work to do. 6-1 is great, and that's awesome. And I'm very proud of the kids and the work that they've put in for us. But that's not our goal. Our season goal was not to start 6-1. Our season goal is to go to state and to finish top 5 in the conference. And if we keep playing like we are, then we definitely give ourselves a chance to do that.
Yeah, looking at the team, you mentioned the defense, the pitching, of course, the numbers speak for themselves. Hitting has been very good. You've kind of blasted your rivals, Red Oak and Clarendon, and even in the past, maybe when you were better than those schools, you weren't exactly blasting them the way you did. I guess that's just a good sign, isn't it? Yeah,
our bats came alive in those 2 games. It took an inning or 2 to get going, but, I think we had 25 hits in those 2 games combined. So we have the capability. We have the bats. We have 8 starters back from last year and a lot of kids who started 2 and 3 years. So they are capable of a lot offensively. And once we put pressure on people with our speed, we can get some runs across. So we just need to keep swinging the bats. Atlantic and Harlan, we did not swing the bats well. Underwood, we didn't swing the bats well. So it's been kind of hit or miss, but early in the season, especially the wet season that we had, the bats are usually going to be way behind the pitching. And I think that accounts a little bit for our pitching numbers, but that also accounts for some of the kids that have lower batting averages now. But David and Jackson and Jacob and Parker have really been swinging the bats well. And we need those guys to swing the bats well. Those 4 especially. Those are 4 of our big returning guys, and we need them to hit well to get our offense going.
You mentioned all the games coming up, and we know about the 3 stud pitchers you have right now with Zach and Tyler and Evan, and Evan's not going to be here all of next week, so I guess we're going to find out how deep this pitching staff is. Tell us about some of the other guys.
Well, Jose Rendon, has pitched his whole life, and he's probably the hardest thrower on our team. He took a year off last year, and kind of took a year off as a freshman. He pitched a little bit JV, but didn't pitch a ton. But he's very capable. He's very, very talented. Has a nice off-speed pitch, throws hard, spots his fastball well. Jackson Baker started pitching for us last year. Both those guys have pitched in relief this year and given up, I think, a hit apiece. Haven't given up any runs or anything, and struck out. And best thing is neither one has walked anybody. I think they've struck out 7 combined. So those 2 are both going to get starts next week. Jacob Holmes pitched a lot as a freshman, sophomore, and a little bit last year, not a lot. He's going to have to get a start next week, and we're going to have to start pushing him in there. Michael Cisneros is a sophomore, and he's pitched a lot for us last year, and he's going to have to get in there. And Jake Johnson is a freshman who, again, grew up pitched JV last night, but he's going to have to come back and fill in varsity for us too.
Coach, appreciate it. Great start, and best of luck to you.
Thanks.